Day 9 of training camp, Miami Dolphins fans. How are we doing today? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network. Unfortunately, Saturday's scrimmage that was supposed to be open to the public ended up getting canceled. So the team still did practice. However, it was only in front of the local media. Sorry if you were going to be one of those fans in attendance. That's a tough break. That would have been something pretty awesome to go and check out. But regardless, we have got reports that came out from the media that were in attendance. We've got a new player added to the roster today. We got big honors for wide receiver one, Tyreek Hill, plus some breaking news that happened right before I started this recording today. On his restructured contract, Dolphins fans, we have got a lot to get to. We'll jump into everything in a second. Before we do, I got to hear from you. Your thoughts on Tyreek being the number one player in the NFL top 100 list, your thoughts on his contract restructure, your thoughts from training camp, any questions you have, go ahead, drop them in the comments. Get subscribed if you haven't done so already as well. But like we said, Tyreek Hill, the number one player on the NFL top 100 list. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, if you've checked out the YouTube community page, I put out a post saying that I don't put usually a lot of stock into rankings or lists. I think a lot of that kind of stuff is for clicks. I've got to admit, though, Tyreek Hill being number one on the NFL top 100 list, a list that is voted on by the players, by his peers, that's pretty damn cool. And quite honestly, when I was watching his video, just his reaction of learning that he was voted number one, just how excited he was, how happy he was, how quickly he wanted to share that news with his mom, and then going into just his highlight package that goes with everyone that's on the list. I was a permagrin. I was smiling from ear to ear the entire time. And the main thing is, I remember before Tyreek Hill joined the Miami Dolphins, watching Kansas City Chiefs games and thinking, what's it like to have a guy like this? He is a cheat code. He has a distinct advantage over every single person on the field, and because of his athleticism. And that was a point in time where the Miami Dolphins, you look at our offense now, we are littered. We are spoiled with playmakers right now. Back when Tyreek played for the Chiefs, especially earlier in his career, we didn't have that. It was a struggle for our Ryan Tannehill-led offenses to pick up 6 yards. I remember just how excruciating watching this team try to pick up 4 to 6 yards was. It was pulling teeth. And now to have this guy on our team and to see him go for 1,700 yards back-to-back seasons, to see him become this number one overall player, to see him take this offense, to take Tua, take everyone here to these new heights. Like I said, I was just permagrin. I was excited the entire time. So like I said, drop your thoughts on that in the comments. Quite honestly, I think Patrick Mahomes probably should have been number one. He just won another Super Bowl. And if you look at the playmakers around him, this is probably his worst offense that he's had for any of these successful seasons that he had. Regardless, huge day for Tyreek Hill, which only got bigger, like I said, before recording today's video, because he got a restructured contract as well, which means a little bit more money in his pocket. The contract is now worth $90 million over the next 3 years. That includes $65 million guaranteed. So it's not a contract extension. There are no new years added to the deal, but it added guaranteed money, which actually turns out to be the most money ever added to a contract without adding new years in NFL history. But the crazy thing is, and I love this, we've now seen the Miami Dolphins extend the contracts of both Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle, and now they've restructured Tyreek Hill, basically ensuring that this core group of skill players is going to remain together for the foreseeable future. And in my opinion, that's a pretty damn good trio to get locked up and to build around. So like I said, it's been a very phenomenal past 24 hours or so here for Tyreek Hill. Well-deserved on both the top player honor and the new guaranteed money. Got to keep your stars happy, right? And frees up a little bit of money for the Dolphins in regards to this year's salary cap as well, at least based on what I saw real quickly. Quick note I should add here as well before we move on. Tyreek Hill had the day off of practice as well, so he gets the top player honor, he gets the money, and then he gets some rest in the process. So yeah, well, quite a day here for Tyreek Hill. We talked about a new player, Miami Dolphins fans. On Saturday morning, we learned that the Miami Dolphins signed offensive lineman Sean Harlow, who has played both guard and center in the NFL. We waived offensive lineman Ireland Brown. I will admit that today, Saturday, early afternoon, was the first day that I have learned the name Sean Harlow. But from what I have been told, while he is at least an improvement to the team's roster, he's a more complete, has more experience than a guy like Ireland Brown. Don't expect Sean Harlow to solve any issues when it comes to this team's current conundrum at the interior offensive line, specifically at guard. The Dolphins are his fifth team since 2019. He's played in 41 career games at both guard and center with 8 starts sprinkled in there. He's by no means, like I said, a needle mover. We will probably continue to see the team continue to look at bringing in more competition at guard, at least in my best guess. Moving on, Mike McDaniel had some media availability this morning. He spoke a little bit about Eric Ezukanma, said that the injury that he's dealing with right now is not related to last year's injury that kept him out essentially the entire season. And while Mike McDaniel expects to see Ezukanma back in action again, he would not put a timeline on it. Now, I've got a couple of thoughts on here because my thoughts actually consist of the idea of him not making this team's 53-man roster. You've got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, Odell Beckham Jr., Malik Washington. Those 4 feel like locks, at least in my opinion. River Craycraft has had a strong and consistent camp. I have him making it over Eric Ezukanma. That's 5. Braxton Berrios has been fairly consistent, plus he brings value as a kick and punt returner, especially with the new kick return rooms. What's that, 6? I have him making it over Eric Ezukanma. Even a guy like Braylon Sanders, who's put together a strong previous week here of training camp, he's shown more than Eric Ezukanma. So right now, I have Eric Ezukanma on the outside looking in. He's going to need to get back, like Mike McDaniel said. He'll have to start making plays sooner or later, or less, like I said, in my opinion, looking like an injury settlement or maybe even an outright release. Maybe there's a thought there for practice squad potential as well. Well, let's get in with Saturday's actual camp report. A lot of news here for the Dolphins with a day of training camp sprinkled into that as well. The Miami Dolphins ran their first 2-minute period of training camp. I always like these each year from training camp. The situation was 1:45 left in the game. You're down 4. You've got 2 timeouts remaining for Tua's turn. He ended up leading the offense to the go-ahead touchdown on a 4th and 1 touchdown pass to De'Von Achane from the 5-yard line. Achane was noted for multiple receptions on that game-winning drive. Unfortunately, he did have a drop on that game-winning drive as well. And then Malik Washington, who we've started to hear a little bit more from the past few days of practice here, was noted for a 20-yard reception on a 3rd down play during that drive as well. So touchdown for Tua's turn to lead the offense on Mike White's offense. Unfortunately, didn't turn out as solid for the offense. I should note that by all accounts, all reports, had the Miami Dolphins defense yet having the upper hand again today. The notes on the Mike White series: you had a drop by Anthony Schwartz over the middle on 4th and 6, which killed the drive. Mike White also dropped a good shotgun snap before throwing a hurried pass over to Jeff Wilson. And then Mohamed Kamara had a sack on that series as well. So not as great when Tua was not in the huddle. For the running backs, Travis Wingfield's notes on running backs today, I'm just going to read this based on his tweet. Jalen Wright continues to impress, and it's the same thing. He just hasn't had many runs where he's getting stuffed, and I believe it's the conviction, the C word that we've been using all week for him, the conviction that he runs with. He gets to the gap now, and he hits it hard. Everything that we've talked about since the coaching staff has talked to him seems like he's taken that coaching really well. He also said that Jeff Wilson had some really strong runs, and De'Von Achane caught a bunch of passes, including the go-ahead touchdown in the 2-minute drill that we talked about. For the wide receivers, Jalen Waddle noted for a couple of nice plays again today as well. Caught a quick slant from Tua in traffic, brought in a touchdown from Mike White in the corner of the end zone for some red zone work there as well. From the tight ends, once again from Travis Wingfield, said, I liked what I saw from Jonnu Smith and Julian Hill. Hill had a couple of plays in the pass game and continues to be an enforcer as a blocker. Jonnu Smith probably had his most catches of camp, including a pair of really nice runs after the catch on that 2-minute drill from Tua. Now, my contact, my connection with the team told me that Jody Fortson has been told by the team that he is now tight end number 5 on the depth chart behind the likes of Jonnu, Durham, Smythe, Julian Hill, Tanner Connor. Now, this is interesting to me, and this is something to monitor. We're going to see if that kind of lights a fire under Fortson here over these next practices. You got a preseason game next Friday. I kind of had him right away as that guy that, I feel pretty safe of him making a spot. But with all the other tight ends that have emerged, specifically Julian Hill and Tanner Connor, look for him to maybe have his work cut out for a roster spot. Offensive line, Austin Jackson, Aaron Brewer, and Robert Jones noted for productive days on the offensive line. I have actually also been told that Robert Jones has been far and away our best option at guard so far during camp. It's currently looking like it would be him and Isaiah Wynn as your starting guards in week 1, assuming everything moves forward with Isaiah Wynn in regards to his injury. We'll move over to the defense real quick. Calais Campbell noted for a run stuff of De'Von Achane. And we have a great edge rushing segment right here because, man, it's every single day we're getting a positive report from this unit. Muhammad Kamara had an active day. We already talked about the sack that he had on the Mike White drill. Had a tackle for a loss on a Jalen Wright carry. Also beat Hayden Rucci to stuff another run at the line of scrimmage. This dude has been active as advertised as a 5th round pick. Quentin Bell, credited for yet another would-be sack on Tua. This guy is on an absolute heater right now. I will tell you, he is going to be a top player for me to watch in Friday's preseason opener. Emmanuel Ogbah, re-signed, cost savings there as well. He received praise from basically every media person in attendance that I trust. Had a sack, a run stuff, knocked down a pass at the line of scrimmage. Like we've said a lot here recently, this edge rusher position is performing very well above what at least I expected it to, and that's without our top 2 guys at the position. And hopefully Jalen Phillips is kind of close to coming back as well. Channing Tindall was noted for having a big day by Travis Wingfield, and I saw another writer to point him out as well. That's a name that we've seen very seldomly in these practice reports, and in my opinion, a guy that's probably firmly on the roster bubble as things stand today. So see if he can continue to stack some more positive days together. And then wrapping things up with the secondary, Jalen Ramsey was sporting the orange jersey after a solid practice from him and the defense yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about him making plays, impact plays as a blitzer. Reports today had him showing up big in the run game and the quick passing game as well. So obviously good news from our top cornerback. And then Elijah Campbell was able to get in for a sack against Tua Tagovailoa as well. Dolphins fans, that is actually what I have for today. Like I said, sorry for all those that plan to be able to try to get to today's scrimmage and then not be able to go. Obviously, that's very unfortunate. But hey, lots of news all around from the camp, from Tyreek's double dip, from the Ezukanma news. Like I said, training camp, offseason, never a shortage of Miami Dolphins news and nuggets to get to. We will wrap it there for today, Dolphins fans. Like I said, though, let's hear your thoughts on Tyreek, on training camp. Any questions you may have for me, go ahead, drop them in the comments. I believe the Dolphins are off Sunday, and I believe they're back on Monday. Don't quote me on that, but as soon as they're back, I will be back as well. Dolphins fans, enjoy the remainder of your weekend, and until next time, fins up.